This is Land of Havilah, Psalm 75. It's 10 verses. Verse 1. For the chief musician, to the tune of Do Not Destroy, a psalm by Asaph, a song. We give thanks to you, God. We give thanks, for your name is near. Men tell about your wondrous works. Comment now with God speaking, verse 2. When I choose the appointed time, I will judge blamelessly. The earth and all its inhabitants quake. I firmly hold its pillars, Selah. I said to the arrogant, don't boast. I said to the wicked, don't lift up the horn. Don't lift up your horn on high. Don't speak with a stiff neck. Comment now with the narrator speaking again, verse 6. For neither from the east, nor from the west, nor yet from the south comes exaltation. But God is the judge. He puts down one and lifts up another. For in Yahweh's hand there is a cup full of foaming wine mixed with spices. He pours it out. Indeed, the wicked of the earth drink, and drink it to its very dregs. But I'll declare this forever. I'll sing praises to the God of Jacob. Comment now, God speaking again, verse 10. I will cut off all the horns of the wicked, but the horns of the righteous shall be lifted up. Comment in verse 1 is another psalm by Asaph. Asaph gets credit for 11 in a row, Psalm 73 to 83. And there's another one, Psalm 50, which makes a total of 12 for Asaph. In verse 1, this psalm is set to the tune, Do Not Destroy. It's one of 4 psalms set to that tune. In verse 1, we give thanks for your name is near. Israel knows his name and can call on him. He's near, available when they call his name, and for that they thank him. Then in verse 2, it's the voice of God. He says, when I choose the appointed time, I will judge blamelessly, meaning I'll judge in a time of my choosing. There's going to be some shenanigans among men that seem to go unchecked, but I'll get around to settling accounts on my own time. And when I do, my judgment will be blameless, perfect. Again, that quote, when I choose the appointed time, I'll judge blamelessly. And in verse 3, the earth and its inhabitants quake. I firmly hold its pillars, meaning I have a firm grasp over the authority over all the earth. I don't have any competitors who are able to wrestle with me. It's not like the devil is almost as powerful as I am. There are no other gods to compete. When I shake those pillars, when I begin to execute my judgment, the earth and its inhabitants will quake. They'll tremble with fear, knowing the appointed time of judgment has come. There's only me. There's no one else who compares. Then in verse 4, I said to the arrogant, don't boast. I said to the wicked, don't lift up the horn. Don't lift up your horn on high. Don't speak with a stiff neck, end quote. The horn metaphor crops up again in verse 10 and throughout the Old Testament. The horn's an animal's awesome strength. It gives him the ability to impose his will and scatter any other animal that annoys him. In multiple passages, it's a metaphor for military strength, the ability of an army to overrun the enemy and push them back, the ability to conquer. And of course, if a person or nation is strong like that, it breeds pride and arrogance. But that kind of strength is no match for a God who has a firm grasp on the pillars of the earth. So no man should be proud. Neither should he be stiff-necked in verse 5. Anyone who's familiar with horses know that some have a limber neck, which means you can turn them easily by pulling right or left on the bridle. All it takes is a slight, almost imperceptible touch, and they turn. But other animals are stiff-necked. When the master gives the signal, they deliberately stiffen up the neck to teach the master a lesson that they're not about to submit to him. The harder the master pulls, the more they stiffen. Their tender mouth must be getting pretty sore, but they don't care. They'd rather resist and have a sore mouth. So to be stiff-necked is to be stubbornly resistant to God, to one's own injury, and to be exasperating to God. In verse 6, it doesn't make sense to resist God because he's a person's exaltation. He wants to lift us up. There's no other help, no other way to be lifted up. Though a person might search east, west, north, and south, he'll get nothing. God is his only help. In verse 7, God puts down one and lifts up another, so obviously we want to be lifted, not put down. Jesus said, if you lose your life for my sake, you'll find it, Matthew 16:25. He was saying, submit to God and he'll lift you up. In verse 8, in Yahweh's hand there's a cup of foaming wine mixed with spices. It's foaming because it has intoxicating additives in it, intoxicating spices. It's been spiked. It'll put a person on the floor. So don't be like the wicked of the earth and drink that cup from Yahweh to the dregs. Submit to God and drink from the cup of His loving kindness. In verse 10, I'll cut off all the horns of the wicked, meaning I'll strip them of their power and ability. But the horns of the righteous shall be lifted up, meaning in the end the righteous will be glad, God will strengthen them, they'll overcome, they'll be victorious. Psalm 76 is next, but that won't be until the next installment of the Psalms, Psalm 76 to 100, Lord willing. In the meantime, we have many other books of the Bible available with comments. Please check our Land of Havilah podcast page. Click Show All to see all the material. You should see Genesis through Psalms in the Old Testament and Matthew through Acts in the New Testament, plus a couple other books we've been working our way through. Check our website, landofhavilah.net, for links to the videos, or check the Land of Havilah channel on YouTube. For children 5 and up, there's Granddaddy Longlegs' Story of Jesus for Children. It's the entire life of Jesus, taken from the 4 Gospels, about 93 chapters, about 8 hours total. Your narrator's grandchildren ask for it at bedtime and in the truck. Sometimes we leave it playing on the pillow until they're asleep. It's been a tremendous blessing. Please, if you know anyone with children, find it on the podcast page and forward that to them. God bless you until next time.